Hey everybody, welcome into this week's episode of Five for Fighting, our hockey podcast here on the Huddle podcast feed. It's me, Mike Bernier. I am back to talk about the National Hockey League with 5 topics from the week that was, as well as a new part of the show that I'm going to go with from here on out, where we'll call it the Grip It and Rip It Player of the Week. We'll wrap up the show with that. A lot of good stuff to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about topic number 1. The New Jersey Devils had won 13 consecutive games, tying a franchise record, matching a February 16th through March 23rd of 2001 run. That streak ended earlier tonight, Wednesday night, as I'm recording this, 2-1 to the Toronto Maple Leafs. So they'll only be able to match the record. But big takeaway here, this Devils team is very intriguing. I don't know if it's the getting off to a fast start and eventually we'll come back to earth or what, but 13 consecutive victories for the Devils. It's a fun season to start off that hot. It'll be intriguing to see if they can keep up the pace moving forward. Currently, the Devils sit atop of the Eastern Conference and the Metropolitan Division with 32 points at a record of 16-4. Again, they had won 13 straight prior to tonight's loss against the Toronto Maple Leafs. They are 6 points clear of the Islanders, 8 points clear of both the Rangers and the Carolina Hurricanes. They are actually 2 points behind Boston for the lead in the entire Eastern Conference as of right now. So the Devils were on a little bit of a good run there. We'll see if they're able to capitalize on this or if this starts the downward spiral for them. I do have a couple friends who are Devils fans. Obviously, they're hoping that the downward spiral does not start. They are back on the ice as part of a monster slate on Black Friday that we'll talk about. They play 3 times in the next 5 days. At Buffalo, a home game against the Washington Capitals on the 26th, and then a home game on the 28th. A road game on the 28th at the New York Rangers. During the win streak, New Jersey was able to beat Ottawa, the Maple Leafs team that they lost to, Edmonton, Montreal, Arizona, Calgary twice, Ottawa again, Edmonton twice, Vancouver. Let's see, who else did they beat? They defeated the Columbus Blue Jackets. They defeated the Colorado Avalanche and the Detroit Red Wings. Their last loss prior to this was a 6-3 loss to the Washington Capitals back on October 24th. Our second topic on tonight's Five for Fighting, Yevgeny Malkin played in his 1,000th career National Hockey League game, becoming the 11th player to reach the milestone as a member of the Pittsburgh Penguins. He was able to score a goal in that game. Fun little pre-game thing where all the players were doing Malkin's stretches with him. A fun way to commemorate a guy who's meant a lot to that organization. I'm not a big Pittsburgh guy. I've made that abundantly clear being a Washington Capitals fan. But I have nothing but respect for Yevgeny Malkin. Guys have been a rock, been a main contributor to that team. When you're talking about being a hockey fan and analyst, nothing but respect for Yevgeny Malkin. I wish I could say the same about his teammate, but I can't because he, sucks. Our third topic tonight, Ryan Reeves was traded earlier today to the Minnesota Wild from the New York Rangers. That news dropped a little while ago. I actually dropped something from the topic because of the trade. Obviously wanted to mention that Ryan Reeves again traded for a 5th-round draft pick. Rumor was that his agent and him requested the trade prior to a game earlier this week. I'm going to see if I can find the exact date of that game. So this trade went down about 6:45 tonight. It was the Ryan Reeves to the Minnesota Wild from the Rangers for a 5th-round draft pick. He had no points in 12 penalty minutes in 12 games this season. and was a healthy scratch in 7 of the last 8 tilts for the Rangers. A source close to the Rangers said that Reeves and his agent requested a trade before the 5-3 win against the LA Kings on Tuesday. New York general manager Chris Drury and I talked for a couple weeks about it, said Minnesota GM Bill Guerin. Obviously, he was a popular player there. He did a lot of good things for that team, but, hadn't been playing on a regular basis of late. But for us, I just feel like Ryan brings as a player. The way he plays his role is elite, and more important than that, it's just importantly, as that he brings a lot of energy. He's just always full of energy. Over the last 2 seasons, Reeves has played 81 games, had 13 points, and 55 penalty minutes. He was originally a fifth-round draft pick, number 156 overall by the St. Louis Blues. In the 2005 NHL draft, he has 114 career points and 992 penalty minutes in 767 tilts on the ice. Our fourth topic for tonight, while they were able to come away victorious tonight in a overtime matchup, the Washington Capitals are just not good. With the exception of Darcy Kemper, John Carlson, and obviously Alexander Ovechkin, this team hasn't been a good team, and I'm going to hope that it's been injuries that has been the main culprit behind this. But I also don't think that this team did a lot to fix other problems. Obviously, they addressed the number one problem, which was goaltending, by going and getting Darcy Kemper. But they didn't address any of the defensive issues. They didn't go get any guys to be on the third and fourth line to potentially be scorers. I guess the bigger question here for the Washington Capitals is, are they wasting prime games of Alexander Ovechkin where he would hopefully be scoring goals with, Kuzi and Osh and John Carlson, obviously, Tom Wilson, guys that Ovi's played with on a more nightly basis, Nicholas Backstrom. Are we wasting games of Alexander Ovechkin's prime and the last couple of good years of Alex as he tries to run down Wayne Gretzky? He did score the game winner tonight in overtime to get to 790 on the year, or excuse me, on his career. So tip of the cap to Ovi to get there. We're closer to 800. We're going to get there sooner rather than later. TJ Oshie did make his return to the ice tonight. He had 2 assists in the win for the Washington Capitals. So I'm hoping that with the return of TJ Oshie, as well as some other guys getting healthy, that this Capitals team can find a way to keep pressing forward and try to get as healthy as possible to help Ovi obviously get to 800, obviously to get closer to the Wayne Gretzky record, but also to get back into the race here. This division is wide open. Obviously, the New Jersey Devils are leading the way right now after that big win streak. But this isn't the only team that's been on big win streaks. The Bruins had a pretty big one so far this season. The Vegas Golden Knights have put together stretches where they're not losing. So you know that teams can put together these streaks. So if you're a Washington Capitals supporter, you're hoping that the team gets healthy now, and maybe they can get on one of those runs themselves. Obviously, they have the goaltending with Darcy Kemper. Obviously, they have the scoring potential if everybody's healthy with Osh. Uh, and obviously, we're not going to have Nick or Tom Wilson for a while with the ACL and the hip. Um, but, if we can get a bunch of those guys back, with the exception of the 2 of them, I think this Capitals team could be a lot better. But until that happens, they're just not fun to watch. It's very bland. It's very vanilla. Um, and at this point, if you're going to be vanilla, just be as vanilla as you can, but make sure you're feeding Alexander Ovechkin the puck as much as you can. Our last official topic of the show tonight, topic number 5, Black Hockey Friday. Yes, Black Hockey Friday. A lot of games scheduled for Black Friday. Obviously, they have Hockey Day in Canada, which is in January. I feel like this should be Hockey Day in America because there are a absolute boatload of games scheduled for Friday the 25th. Games starting as early as 1 o'clock up until the 10:30 tilt. I'm going to run through those games real quick. It'll start 1 o'clock tilt Carolina at Boston, a 2 o'clock face-off between the Avs and the Predators. 3 o'clock, another 2 o'clock tilt Montreal and Chicago. 2 o'clock Toronto at Minnesota. 2 o'clock Calgary at Washington. 3 o'clock game Ottawa at Anaheim. 5:30 on TNT. It is the Thanksgiving showdown between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Philadelphia Flyers. 8 o'clock tilt, we'll see the Seattle Kraken take on the Vegas Golden Knights. Arizona takes on Detroit at 8 o'clock. The Islanders take on the Blue Jackets at 8 o'clock. The Devils take on the Buffalo Sabres at 8. And the St. Louis Blues will take on the Tampa Bay Lightning in the other 2022 Thanksgiving showdown on TNT at 8 o'clock. 8:30 sees the Jets take on the Dallas Stars, and finally the 10:30 tilt, we'll see the LA Kings take on the San Jose Sharks. 0 of the games that I've mentioned will not, all games that I mentioned will be taking place in the United States. So let me be the first on this show to officially announce that Friday, November 25th, Black Friday hockey is officially now Hockey Day in the USA. So if you're around and you are trying to get through the day, there will be plenty of hockey to watch. I know there's a ton of college football, as well as Team USA taking on England during the day early. I think it's like a 1 o'clock 1 o'clock first kick in the World Cup. So as your day winds down, feel free to turn on any of your major ESPN Plus subscriptions and watch some good old-fashioned hockey as we have Hockey Day in the USA. Now, a segment that I'm going to start on this show called the Grip It and Rip It Player of the Week. I'm going to go through and I'm going to look at each teams, and I'm going to pick one player to be the Player of the Week. We'll talk about that player a little bit, and then we'll get the heck on out of here. And the first installment of the Grip It and Rip It Player of the Week is none other than Sidney Crosby. In 3 games, Sidney scored 10 points. He had 2 goals and 2 assists against Minnesota, 2 assists against Winnipeg, and he had a goal and 3 assists against the Chicago Blackhawks, which was also the game where Evgeny Malkin played in his 1,000th career National Hockey League tilt. While I hate Sidney Crosby as an opponent, I do have to give the Devil his due. 10 points in 3 games. Had a great week. Obviously, the 4 points in Game 1 and Game 3. The 2 assists in Game 2 against Winnipeg, still a great night for him. I can't say anything negative about this week about what Sidney Crosby was able to do. Doesn't mean that I like him, obviously. But kudos and credit where credit is due. Sidney had a heck of a week. He is the first installment of the Grip It and Rip It Player of the Week. All right, guys. So that is the 5 for Fighting podcast this week. If you are not already, please like, subscribe, thumbs up, all those things on your major podcast catchers to listen to this, as well as the Huddle Up podcast, and eventually the Earnest Christian Basketball Show, which, Jim, if you're listening to this, just keep waiting. It'll come eventually, I think. Maybe, I don't know. If you haven't already, you can listen to myself, Ernest, Big Jim on the Huddle Up guys, as well as our friend Joe Lopez on the Take 3 Wrestling podcast. That is on the Take 3 Wrestling feed. You can search that on any of your major podcast catchers. As always, guys, check out the link tree over on the Huddle Up podcast feed Twitter so that you can get all the info you need. You can get connected to the Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, as well as the TeePublic store, so you can buy all the cool T-shirt designs that Big Jim has done over there on the Huddle Up podcast feed. We do have a couple of the NHL editions, including the old school NHL logo and the HUP, as well as the Washington Capitals one. Other than that, guys, that's going to wrap up the show for this week. Until next week, I wish you all a happy and safe Thanksgiving, and we will see you guys on the ice as we grip it and rip it through the NHL season, and good night.